Welcome to our webinar on social advertising for book launches with Christy Kirk. Before we begin, I would like to just share some technical considerations. My name is Margie Carr-Jarrett, by the way. And so to start out with, this is a 30-minute webinar, and it will be recorded and sent to you in a follow-up email along with the slides of the PowerPoint after the webinar has finished. I want to mention that there will be a Q&A at the end, and you can feel free to post questions throughout the webinar in the chat panel, and I will go ahead and share those with Christy at the end of our webinar. And our webinar today is presented by Christy Kirk, who is the Director of Social Strategy at Weaving Influence. Christy is a former news leader and has experience in journalism, social media, all of which she uses to assist our authors to build larger platforms, connect with readers, and to excel in all of their social media and marketing goals. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic over to Christy, and we're going to begin.
Awesome. Thank you, Margie. Appreciate that. And thank you, everyone who's joining us today. Today, we're going to talk about social media advertising, why we think it has value, why Weaving Influence recommends social media advertising to our clients, and a few tips about how you can get in there and start being successful advertising your book, your events, or other products that you might have. So Aubrey, if we could just dive into our first slide, we really want to talk about why social media advertising. And the reason is your audience is here. And Pew Research did a study, they did it last year in 2016, and of all adults who are online, 46% say they are on social media every single day. That's a huge market share. I truthfully think the numbers are higher than that, and I think they'll continue to grow because the millennial generation is absolutely on social media every single day. Xers like myself and baby boomers are maybe a little less frequent, but even we have a tendency to be on social media every day. So that's growing. Your audience here is growing. In comparison, your television audience and your newspaper audience and your billboard audiences are changing. You know, there are no more of those national gathering events on television anymore that bring us all together other than the Super Bowl and maybe Game of Thrones. So if you can afford to do product placement in Game of Thrones, maybe that's your best bet. But second best bet would be on digital and social media because this is where people are. So it's really important to be here. Now, you know, in our graphic here, we have Google+. You know, we're going to walk you through today and talk about places to do some social media advertising and places where we would recommend that you don't do social media advertising. So we'll dive into that. But the audience is here. You want to do it. Another reason to be on social media, and Aubrey, we can go ahead, is there's a low barrier to entry. It does not cost a lot to get started here. And that's a real beauty of social media because you can experiment for very little money. You can find out what works and you can really workshop your content and your ad without spending a lot of money. Again, on Facebook, you can boost a post right now for $20 or $25. That'll be for a week, and you'll get it in front of probably 10 times the amount of people you would otherwise for 20 bucks. That's not a bad investment. That's a couple of coffees. For $135, you can run an ad every day for a month on Facebook. Again, a small amount of money to invest to really deliver some great returns. In comparison, again, I come from the world of TV. You can't buy a television ad for $20. Just to get a television ad produced, you're going to spend $200 to $500, if not more. And if you do have the lowest schedule on TV, you're going to spend, you know, $1,500 at a minimum, and that's overnights. Newspaper, you can get some low-cost newspaper ads right now, but how many people will those newspaper ads reach? How many people are reading those newspapers in physical form nowadays? The New York Times is still widely read and has a healthy subscription base still, but a lot of those subscriptions now are purely digital. So even if you're interested in that sort of media, the digital avenue is the way to go. Again, social and digital are where advertising is going. And we can move again. Another reason to be on social advertising, and truthfully to me this is one of the most important reasons, and it's audience targeting. You get to zero in on exactly the people you want to reach. Again, you can't do that with a newspaper ad, you can't do that with a billboard, you can't do that with a TV ad, you can't do it with product placement. You can do it with a social ad. And here's why it's important. If you're spending $20, if that goes to everybody who happens to come through, that $20 has probably very little value because of those people you reach. Those, say it's 100,000 people, of those 100,000 people, maybe 10 of them are people who are interested in your book, in your topic, in your work. But the beauty of social media advertising is that you can drill down and you can really target. So if you're having a book launch event, or maybe you're doing a book signing at a local bookstore, you could put out an ad on social media and target people in that geographic area. You can target readers in that geographic area. You can target people who like their local bookstore in that geographic area, and you can drill down that, that deeply to find your audience, and that is incredibly powerful. And we'll talk a little bit more about experimenting to find the audience, but it's really, really powerful aspect of social media. And moving along, our next slide, another reason to invest in social ads is measurability. So if you buy a newspaper ad, you buy that ad and the newspaper staff thanks you for the ad, and on the day it's supposed to run, it's on the newspaper, in the newspaper, or maybe on their website, but you have no idea how it performs. You have no way of knowing. Same with a billboard. You know, the billboard companies will tell you, oh, you reached 10,000 drivers or buy this every day, but how many of them actually saw the ad? You don't know. But with Facebook, with Twitter, with LinkedIn, you get some terrific metrics and you can really see what's working. And it's important to check these metrics regularly so you see, for instance, how many people have seen your ad, how many people the ad's been delivered to. You get to see how much it's costing you for every person who actually clicks through to buy your book or to learn more about your book or to visit your book website. And you get to see if you're losing people at some point in that pipeline, and many of you are probably familiar with the marketing funnel, and there are lots of different marketing funnels, but for social media advertising we see a large group of people come into the ad, but what we really want to see is the percentage that then click through. And then from there, we want to see how many actually purchase. Now, if your click-through is to Amazon, we're not going to know necessarily how many purchase, but you'll see that there are continued sales of your book through Amazon. But the measurability, the ability to find out where these people are going and where you may be losing them in the pipeline is really important for tweaking your content and making your ads more effective. Again, if you buy an ad in another space, you don't get to track performance daily, even if you would like, and you don't get to go back and make changes to the ad. If you put an ad on Facebook, you can look at it today and go, oh, this is sort of bombing. I'm going to try changing the language. You can go in and edit the language immediately and make an immediate change. You can change the image. You can even change the audience if you'd like. But you can make those changes, and that's really an important part of social media marketing. And moving on, the third and final reason I think social ads are worth the purchase is the connectivity. They allow you to connect to customers directly, and often the way Facebook places ads, there's an option for people to share the ad, and they can also comment about the ad, and you'll often get questions about your book and about your product on those ads, and that's a great customer service tool, and it's really important. And I recommend when people place ads that you really stay on top of the comments too and you're responding. We place ads for nearly every book launch we do. We put out a social ad promoting purchase. And we'll get questions about the book, and we want to make sure that we're answering those, but it's a powerful way that you can connect. You can also comment on your own ad, and if there's some additional information you want to give, maybe you have a book promotion page, and you can comment on your ad and say, hey, if you want to learn more, you can click here too and give them some additional information. So there are lots of ways you can play with that connectivity, but it's really powerful, and you don't have that with a traditional ad in a different medium. You don't have the ability to answer a person's question if they see a TV ad. You don't have the ability to interact with them like you do with a social ad. And I will say I've worked with large brands in the past. I worked with some large consumer brands, and we spent thousands on consumer advertising, on social media advertising every month. And we did it as a way to announce products. We did it as a way to, of course, sell more products. That's the ultimate goal. But we could also immediately answer customer service questions and really gauge customer the level of happiness with our product, the level of receptivity we were having. It's really a great tool, and large brands do this regularly, and they do it because it delivers more than other ads. Even though in full disclosure, the consumer companies I worked for, we still had television ads, but the social media budget was growing every month where the TV budget was decreasing. So social ads are positive and powerful because you can get in with very low investment, you can make changes, you can measure how those changes are performing, and you get to connect one-on-one with your audience and answer their questions in real time. So those are powerful things for social media ads. Now, the next question you might have, and Aubrey, can we move forward just a bit, is where should I be? Where should I spend my money? Where should I be? There's so many social channels. And there are plenty of people out in the world, Gary Vaynerchuk, I'll call him out, he's one who says you need to be everywhere. You need to be on every social platform because your audience is on every social platform. And I would disagree with that. Because yes, you have audience members on every social platform, but you need to be on the social platforms that, one, you feel most comfortable delivering content on, the ones you can be the most successful on. And if you can only devote enough time to be on one social channel to start with, then I think that needs to be Facebook. And I think that's where you need to spend your social media money too. And you do have to have both a personal and a brand page, or a personal and a business page, to buy an ad on Facebook. So this is the place I think you should play. And why do I think you should play here? Because more people are here. Again, the bulk of the people are here. These stats come from Forrester's, and right now in social media advertising, Facebook has 35% of that, 11.93 billion. Crazy numbers. But they have a third of the advertising. It's fractured across the other social channels after that. Number two, actually, in this survey, I don't have it on the slide, but their number two is Google AdWords. Facebook's beating Google AdWords right now in advertising. More people are getting results. You spend money where you get results, and that's what's happening on Facebook. So that's where I think you need to put your social advertising. That's where I recommend people put their social advertising. And that's where we see the most conversions with our social ads. And when I say conversions, I mean we see more people who come to the ad, a higher percentage of people who come to the ad actually click through to either purchase or to visit our websites. We see a higher percentage of that on Facebook. Next slide, please, Aubrey. Here are a few things you need to know if you're going to invest in social ads on Facebook. There are two different kinds, and I'll show you what they both look like in just a moment. You can boost content, and you can then create a custom ad. And again, I'll show you those in just a second. But what's important here, the key to a Facebook ad is creating specialized audiences. You can create custom audiences by address, zip code, phone numbers. What I have found more successful, or most successful for our book clients, is if we create custom audiences based on the interests and the subject matter of the books, primarily, but also other authors in the space who are successful. So, for instance, we have a client who has work that overlaps with a Tony Robbins sort of audience. And we were placing ads for this client, and they were doing fine. They were performing well, but we wanted to give them a little extra kick. So we added Tony Robbins as an interest area to our audience, and the ads just skyrocketed. Their performance increased dramatically. And it's because that Tony Robbins audience has already gone on Facebook and said, we're really interested in the things he says. We have a client who says similar things. We put them together, and there's a great marriage there and great success. And we did something similar with another client of ours who has a very sort of touchy-feely message, very Oprah-esque message, and we added Oprah as an interest area in our audience, and results exploded. So I think it doesn't have to be Oprah or Tony Robbins. Those are two big ones. But if you have people who in your subject area who are successful, reaching an audience already, and you have something similar to say, it's a great way to get in front of their audience by targeting that in the audience portion of Facebook. You can create lookalike audiences. So if you happen to manage several pages, or you happen to have several business pages, you can create, if you have one that's really successful, you can create a lookalike audience for your ads. So you're reaching the same sorts of people. There's a lot of functionality in how you can create audiences, and truthfully, I think that's where you need to spend a lot of your time experimenting when you create Facebook ads, making sure you're reaching the people that you need to reach, your type of people. And another fun thing about Facebook ads is you can buy a Facebook ad and it can go up on Instagram too, which is also really helpful. And next slide, Aubrey. These are the two types of ads that you can do on Facebook. So the first ad, the one with the little dog, is a boosted post. And what this is just some great content you've put out in the world, and you've decided to spend a little bit of money. Facebook will send you a note sometimes saying, you've got a high-performing post. Do you want to boost it? You don't have to wait for them. You can go into Insights and find high-performing posts and decide to boost them on your own. But you want to choose a high-performing post if you do boosted content, because that's a post that is already being successful. So your audience is already saying, I love this content. It's great. It's resonating with me. And so odds are, if you put it in front of more people, they'll have the same reaction, and those new people may not know about you, and this is a way for them to discover you. So boosted posts are often about discovery. They can certainly be around events and even products. You can boost a post about your book, but you want to really target content that's doing well, and boosted posts are a great tool for growing your audience and growing your connections on Facebook. Facebook ads are what we generally create to sell books, and we have seen them deliver great results. And what you do for these is you go into Ad Manager on Facebook, and if you're on Facebook, I'm sorry, I'm not able to share my screen with you live right now, and maybe a future webinar will actually walk you through setting up a Facebook ad. But if you go to the left side of your control panel on Facebook, you'll see an ad manager at the bottom, and you can click through there and it'll walk you through the whole process. But these are ads that you custom design. You have a URL, you send them exactly where you want them to go. The like page that's on this one, you actually have several options. You can customize that call to action. It could be buy now, it could be learn more. There are lots of options, and of course you write the copy and directing people to your product, and these are extremely successful for books. So think about those. You can get into them very inexpensively. I said $135 to run one of these ads for a month. That's for a full solid 30 days, but you may want to experiment just for a week to see what traction you get, and you can go in at a lower cost there and spend $30 or less. Next slide, please, Aubrey. LinkedIn ads. So Facebook is where I think you need to be. Facebook is where I think you can experiment and really find out what copy works, what images work, and what audiences really deliver for you. And if you have an ad that is just gaining steam on Facebook and you're thinking, I want to expand, LinkedIn is the next place I would recommend you go, especially if you have a business type book. Many of our clients are in the business and leadership space, so for us, LinkedIn is a place that we play quite often. The reason I recommend you play on Facebook first is because you can really fine-tune an ad by checking those metrics and finding out what's resonating with people and how they're responding. You can really fine-tune an ad at a low entry point, low cost. LinkedIn costs more. The ads here are more expensive. You're going to spend a couple of $100s to get into the game here. But if you already have an ad that's doing well someplace else, odds are it's going to do really well here too. So you play, fine tune, and then when you're ready for it or you think it's going to add value, you go to LinkedIn. The thing about LinkedIn ads is they do have a high conversion rate. We definitely see the number of people, a high number or a high percentage, I should say, of people who see the ad click through. The difference is these ads don't go to nearly as many people as a Facebook ad will, and you'll spend more to reach fewer people. The idea is, or the enticement from LinkedIn is, you'll reach fewer people, but more of those people will convert. That's arguable. That's certainly up for debate, but these ads can deliver. And can we move forward, Aubrey, really quickly? A couple of types of ads you can get. Most ads that happen on LinkedIn for the lower cost are these LinkedIn text ads that use your icon for your business or for your book page as the image and very little text. Very little, no other images, all text. Very succinct text. Very similar to a Google ad. You can get sponsored content. This is just boosting content just like you do on Facebook. It's something relatively newer for LinkedIn, but again, same principle, find content of yours that's doing well and you can put a few dollars behind it. You can go in at sponsored content less expensively. I think it delivers fewer results, truthfully, on LinkedIn. If I were advising you to advertise on LinkedIn, I would suggest a text ad. And next, Aubrey, the other kind of ad you can get on LinkedIn, and it's pricier, is sponsored in mail. Truthfully, no one likes these. No one likes getting these, but they do have, you can really control the call to action. I don't recommend these for books. You may have an opportunity that may work. These are not something I recommend, but they're available. And next slide, please. The place you shouldn't be with advertising, in my opinion, is Twitter. Just say no to Twitter. Actively have an organic presence on Twitter if it works for you, but advertising here, the barrier to entry is very low, but we have never seen these ads successfully convert. We've experimented with book ads again and again on Twitter, and we just don't see the conversion rates. So my suggestion is to walk away from Twitter as far as advertising goes. Next slide. The big thing, the big takeaway, as we get closer to our wrap-up time and an opportunity for questions, is that you really just need to dive in. As Miss Frizzle says, who could say it better? Take chances, make mistakes, get messy. You're not going to launch the perfect ad your first time out. You are going to have to go in and change copy and experiment with different approaches. You're going to go in and experiment with different images. An interesting note, Facebook occasionally will give higher reach to ads, which means it'll go to more people, to ads when you use their stock images rather than some you created yourself. So an interesting side note, experiment with that when you're experimenting with images. But you want to experiment with images and you're going to experiment with audiences. It's not going to be a home run out of the bat. It just never is. We do these professionally. We do ads every week. We're putting up a new social media ad and we tweak them all of the time because the audience is always changing, people's reactions are always changing, and we want to make sure that we're reaching them the way they can hear the message. So just dive in and give it a try. That's my best advice for social media ads. You can have great results. You can limit how much money you spend, so it's not going to be a money pit, and you can really have a great time and expand your brand in ways you never thought possible and sell a lot of books. And that's what we want for you, to sell your book. And this is a great way to do it. And as we wrap up, one more slide for you. We are, of course, in the book marketing business, and we have a new course available that you can take part in. We understand that not everyone can hire a team to help with the book marketing, and if you're not ready to hire a team or it's not in your budget, this course can really be helpful for you. It's a series of online videos that you can take, you can watch whenever you want to. There are support materials, PDFs, and other downloadables, and then you have our team available to answer questions if you have them. It's designed to support you through all stages of a book launch, not just the social advertising, that's just a little piece of the puzzle, but to help you with email support, outreach, getting reviews, managing Amazon, all of those sorts of things. So if you're interested, you can check out weavinginfluencelab.com, and you can learn more about what we're doing. You can sign up. We have a series of emails we're sending with some tips and some downloads just to get you interested and see a little slice of what's out there. So I hope you check it out. I think it can be really beneficial if you're ready to dive into some DIY marketing for your book launch. And Margie, I'm going to welcome you back here in our last few minutes and to see if we have any questions.
Sure. So I have a couple questions for you, Christy.
Okay.
Our first question is, how do social media ads relate to Google AdWords?
So social media ads are primarily on the social platform, and Google AdWords happen in Google search. The basic ad on Google is around keywords, and it comes up in search. It's targeting search. So say I'm looking for the top leadership books. If you have some of those keywords that you've put money behind, your book may pop up there. Google AdWords, I think, can be a great investment. Google AdWords are slightly more complicated than Facebook ads. Google AdWords are good at establishing SEO. So if you have a brand, if you have a consulting business, if you have a brick and mortar business, I think Google Ads can be very powerful there. They can also work with a book. You just have to really dive in and make sure you don't have too much competition for the keywords. And when I say competition, something like leadership, there are going to be a lot of ads and a lot of money behind leadership. So you're going to have to spend a lot to even make it to the top of that search, even though you're spending money. So it can be a little more complicated. I think Facebook ads are an easy entry point and a lower cost entry point to get started in the world of ads.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, how long should I run my first ad for?
I usually suggest a month, and I like a month because you can really get some good data. But that being said, I'm in those ads all the time. So if I put a book launch ad up for a client, I'm in that ad several times a week, and I'm checking to see how it's performing. And I want to know that the click rate is below 50 cents. I like the cost per click to be below 25 cents if possible. That tells me that I'm getting so much interest that it's not costing me that much money. I like that. And if I'm not at that point, then I'm gonna experiment with copy tweaks. I'm going to see how they're coming through the funnel. If I'm reaching 20,000 people but only 200 have clicked through, that tells me something in my ad is off, and so I'm tweaking that. So I say start for a month if you can, and you can do that at $135. That's your lowest entry point, but tweak that ad and really monitor the ad throughout. And if that feels a little high for you, you can certainly go for a week or 2 weeks. But you're going to get less data and you're going to have less opportunity to play with the ad.
Okay, thank you. And I have one final question. If anyone has any additional questions, quickly you can put them in the chat window. But for now, our last question is, what is a good amount of total money to allocate to ads for my book marketing?
You know what? I really think it has to do with your budget. It's all about your budget. You can get value spending as little as $50 and advertising for 2 weeks. If you have $500 to spend, then absolutely put that behind ads and do ads for a couple of months around the launch. Do a pre-order ad to drum up pre-orders before your book's live. If you have that budget. If you have a budget of $1,000 and that's comfortable for you, that you're not stretching to spend it, but it's comfortable in your budget, then spend $1,000. You will get return for it, but don't spend the bigger money right away. Invest in that, in that experimental period to get that ad right, then spend the additional money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's all of our questions for today. Just want to mention again that we're going to be sending a follow-up email with a copy of the slides and some links for you to check out, including a recording of this webinar if you'd like to share it on social media, or if you'd like to email it to a friend. And please join us for our next book marketing webinar, which will be on the topic of content repurposing, and you can find out and find out more about that webinar and sign up at Weaving Influence Lab, and also there will be a link to the sign up in the follow-up email.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been fun. I hope you've gotten some valuable information, and I can't wait to see your ads in my Facebook feed.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.